Where does the battle over tax cuts stand right now? Do you think that there will be some compromise over what to do about the richest Americans?
Well, look, I think that there's a broad consensus on Capitol Hill that the last thing we should do in the worst economy in 25 years is raise taxes on anybody. I think that's why you're even hearing many liberals in Congress and voices out of the administration talking about a short-term extension. But Jim DeMint and I are offering legislation on Capitol Hill today to say, look, let's make all the current tax rates permanent, and then let's start to work from there toward putting in place the kind of policies that'll really get this economy moving again. You know, I think it's fair to say if the current tax rates were enough to create jobs and generate economic growth, we'd have a growing economy. It's not working now. Let's at least
so you're not
give
willing
some
to
certainty there,
compromise.
and
You're
then
not
we'll
willing
fight
to
for more tax
say
relief.
2 or 3 years for that extension, or to make the extension only for people, not to include people over $1 million. No compromise. You want all tax cuts extended for all people.
Well, look, I think the November 2nd election was a historic rejection of American liberalism, of a lot of this class warfare rhetoric, and the American people said enough is enough. They said, let's put our fiscal house in order, but let's also pursue policies, time-honored policies that will create jobs. You know, John F. Kennedy did it, Ronald Reagan did it, President Bush did it after the towers fell, and that is, not only do you not raise taxes in 2 months or 24 months or 36 months, but what you actually want to do is look to lower marginal tax rates in ways that will encourage investment and create jobs. That's what we need to be doing. I think the American people voted for change in Washington. They voted for a change of direction, and we ought to be standing with the American people.
Well, one of the things that a lot of Republicans believe is part of that change is to repeal health care. We have just heard from Mitch McConnell over on the Senate side, the minority leader there, that he not only wants to work through Congress, but he thinks that the Federalist Society can help get health care reform declared unconstitutional. Do you think that's the way to go?
Well, look, House Republicans are determined to work every day from the outside of this Congress to repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel. And I do believe that the idea that you can mandate from the federal government that Americans purchase goods or services, whether they want them or need them or not, is unconstitutional. It's being challenged. It's going to make it to the high court. But, you know, when this Congress and this administration passed legislation for the first time saying that people had to purchase a health insurance product whether they want it or need it or not, I think we crossed an extraordinarily new frontier on the relationship between the national government and the citizens. I would hope the courts would pull that back, but we'll work here in Congress to hit the reset button, repeal Obamacare, and start over with health care reform that is built on increasing consumer choice and passing responsible reforms in medical malpractice law rather than government mandates, government taxes.
And let me ask you finally, again, it's going on over on the Senate side, but it's something that all of Capitol Hill is talking about, and that's the decision on Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We have been seeing in poll after poll that more and more Americans believe that gays should be able to serve openly in the military. We've gotten every indication that the big study that was done by the military shows that the vast majority of service members and their families don't have a problem with it. Where do you stand, sir?
Well, where I stand is I don't believe we should be using the American military or our armed forces to advance a liberal social agenda or to engage in the practice of domestic politics. Look, what we ought to be focused on is, first, we ought to wait and listen to what that survey of our soldiers says. But number two, we ought to learn the lessons of history.
And if it does say what the indication has been, that the vast majority of service members and their families don't have a problem with it?
Well, I would still have a problem with it because there's no question that to mainstream homosexuality within the active duty military would have an impact on unit cohesion, would have an impact on recruitment, would have an impact on readiness. That's been established and written about and chronicled for many, many years, and I believe we need to continue to keep the focus of our military on the mission of the military. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a compromise back in the early 90s. It's been a successful compromise. We ought to leave it like it is and not run the risk of impacting the readiness of our military or recruitment for our military because of an effort to advance some liberal domestic social agenda.
Congressman Pence, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Two airline pilots say the government has